On Friday, Ethiopia's media authority announced that it had revoked the working license of Tom Gardner, who had been representing the economists in Ethiopia. The letter addressed to the journalist claimed he had received multiple verbal warnings ahead of the revocation of his license, but didn't state any specific wrongdoings on the side of the journalist. The Committee for the Protection of Journalists has ranked Ethiopia second amongst the sub-Saharan African countries with media freedom, listed above only Eritrea. IDPs from western Tigray and other parts of the region have been one of the most highly affected by the ongoing blockade on humanitarian assistance. We visited Abiy Adi Center for Persons displaced from western Tigray, where the head for the Office for Social Economic Affairs tells us that 7 people have lost their lives due to desperate economic situations caused by the ongoing siege. For more, Winta Kidana reports.
The siege that has lasted for close to a year now has devastated IDP communities who depend on humanitarian assistance. This is Abiy Adi IDP Center. IDPs here say they're hanging on by a thread.
The
host community used to support us, but they can't do that anymore. They too are in dire situation. There are many pregnant women and mothers here, people with special needs whose bodies have swollen due to hunger.
We are at the brink of death. People are dying. There are many people too weak to even come outside to ask for help. And many don't check on each other anymore because everyone is suffering.
Head for the Office of Social and Economic Affairs in Abiy Adi, Surafil Mersa, says 7 IDPs have died in the past months alone.
We
have lost 6 people in the camp due to hunger. Another committed suicide. So overall, we've lost 7 people. Many more are suffering in isolations. It's really very dangerous.
The IDPs call on the international community to take responsibility and meaningful action to alleviate the suffering of millions in Tigray.
The international community is silently watching the death of Tigrayans due to starvation. Issuing a statement of concern can't make much of a difference to us.
IDPs far from home and disconnected from the world are facing the brunt of the humanitarian catastrophe in Tigray. The humanitarian truce declared at the end of March has resulted in very improvement in access to aid, as just 5% of much needed assistance has arrived into Tigray within that time frame.
Separation of families, and especially children, has been one of the devastating impacts of the ongoing conflict. We met up with Burhana, a 9-year-old girl from Maikadra, currently sheltered in an IDP camp in Magala. Burhana has not seen or heard from her mother for months. Burhana was an 8th grader student who dreamt of becoming a teacher before the outbreak of the conflict in November of 2020, and still hopes to fulfill her dreams. Our reporter Winta Kidana has this report.
The violence in western Tigray has left families in ruins. Many have separated, find themselves far from home in overcrowded IDP centers across the state, and have lost touch with their communities. This is Burhan from Maikadra in western Tigray. Burhan is 9 years old. She says her and her mother ran away from Maikadra just weeks into the conflict but lost touch soon after.
My mom and I separated in Rawian. A soldier was trying to hit her, so she started running. She thought I was behind her, but I wasn't. I heard that she and the rest of our family is in Aksum. She apparently survived 3 bullet wounds. I have 3 siblings. They're all with my mother. My family, including my father, is in Aksum. I'm here with my grandmother.
Burhan says she wants to be a teacher when she grows up. Unfortunately, the violence and displacement has meant that she has to put her dreams on hold. She, like many other children from Western Tigray, has been living in an IDP camp for more than a year and a half.
We left home on November 30th of last year. I used to be a second grade student back in my village. I used to learn at the school of Samra. I want to be a teacher someday. After we left home, we went to Rawian. I was with my mother then. We went to the rural areas and stayed there for a month or so. And then we went to Gujat. And now we're in Magala.
The devastating siege that follows the ethnic cleansing campaign in Western Tigray has left many IDPs in a desperate situation, including Burhan and her grandmother, who have received very little humanitarian assistance and are having trouble fulfilling even the most basic.
Many starving and on the brink of death. For more, Fanny Lemru reports.
The violence in the still occupied Western Tigray could perhaps be the most horrific in terms of its scale and systematic nature, resulting in the displacement of more than 1 million Tigrayans, a deliberate and systematic attempt to rid Western Tigray of its majority Tigrayan population. We visited an IDP camp in Shira, in northwestern Tigray, where many of these IDPs have been forced to seek shelter. We spoke to a group of IDPs displaced from Tsagade in western Tigray that tell us of the gruesome nature of the violence that had forced them to abandon their homes.
They killed my husband, Takhloini, and my granddaughter, Samra. I had an ill son. His name was Kiflom Takhloini. He died due to lack of vitamins. He suffered for 7 months.
First, they stormed our barn and looted our cattle. Then they killed my husband. My husband's body lied on a field for 3 days because there was no one to bury it.
They killed my 24-year-old son and left his body on a street. I couldn't even bury him. I ran to a jungle called Tafarajraj to save my life.
The IDPs say the violence was not exclusive to Tigrayans, but was also inflicted on Amharas that opposed the violence on Tigrayans.
There were men named Gashau and Fa'ad. They were from Amhara. The Amhara forces killed them after accusing them of collaborating with Tigrayans, just because they refused to support the soldiers' deeds.
The IDPs say they were told to leave their homes by Amhara forces and told them that Tigrayans were no longer allowed to live in the area.
They said all Tigrayans must leave. This is our land, and Tigrayans would not be allowed to live here. Children, elderly, and pregnant women are being harassed and killed by these forces. The world should act immediately. Many are being killed.
They were killing Tigrayans. We lived side by side for decades with those who are now torturing us. They were killing innocent shepherds just because they were Tigrayans.
A joint report by Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International said that Ethiopian forces joined by their allies from Eritrea had committed war crimes and crimes against humanity through a systematic effort to ethnically cleanse Western Tigray of its majority Tigrayan population.
The siege has left many in desperate condition, including patients with chronic illness who have not only been denied basic services such as banking and telecom, but also medication. Our reporter spoke to Frowenika Ruzgafir, patient with a chronic illness, one many who have not been able to access food or medication. Mirona Mana had the details.
Rohini Gabragzavir is a resident of Ma'ala. She's one of the 6.5 million Tigrayans who have been immensely affected by the ongoing siege. She suffers from a chronic illness, and she says that the siege has made it impossible for her to support her family and get any medication. Before the conflict, I used to do part-time jobs and worked at a health centers in the rural areas, but now there's no paying job that I could do, and we're facing severe starvation due to the siege. On top of that, I have chronic illness. Throini says the depletion of medical supplies worsened her illness, which in turn has deterred her from working and supporting herself and her family. There's no medication whatsoever. Even whenever we go to the hospital, we get anxiety. We're constantly told that medications have been depleted. I've been told to go to either hospital after 7 days, which I did, but there was nothing. And when I was coming home afterwards, I blacked out on the streets. My neighbors picked me up and brought me here. I could not move from my bed for 7 days straight.
Throini says the siege has led her to face immense correlated problems like starvation, and also said it made it hard for her to receive help from others as they were facing the same problems too.
I don't have anything to eat or drink. My neighbors are the ones helping me out until today. If they don't have anything to eat, I don't get anything either. There's nothing I can do. On top of that, I have a chronic illness. This makes it so much harder to survive. I even get the drinking water from my neighbors. Everyone is facing the same problems these days. Even my neighbors don't have much. They just share whatever they have with me. The other woman who helps me out, for instance, is an IDP from Zalambesa. She barely makes a living. I'm currently residing at other people's house.
Lastly, Throini made a strong urge to the international community to take immediate action towards bringing a solution to the ongoing chaos and lifting the siege that has been casted for close to a year now.
As you know, we're under siege. As humans, we should get the treatment that we deserve from the international community. All humans are equal. Skin color doesn't define anyone. The international community should observe our circumstances and take actions. No one in history has ever undergone this much hardship, all the war and siege. They should help stop all the injustice that's happening to us and work towards lifting the siege in the shortest time possible.
The condition of the more than 2 million IDPs in Tigray is deteriorating on a daily basis as the Ethiopian government continues to block vital services, food aid, and medical supplies. Our reporters met with Mulureta, who witnessed 5 IDPs die, including her son, due to lack of food and other essentials. For more, Saron Sagay reports.
Mulurada and her husband, Tkhaloini Gabragargas, used to lead a happy life in a warm house in Tsagade, Western Tigray. Her husband, Tkhaloini, was a veteran. At the start of the conflict, the Amhara militia started attacking civilians in her village, Aurora. They found Mulu and her son with a hearing impairment at their home. She says that they started attacking her in front of her disabled son, saying this is not a Tigrayan land and that Tigrayans should leave or die.
They came into my house and started beating me. My 20 years old disabled son was made to watch while they were attacking me. He is unable to hear or speak, but that didn't stop them from beating me.
Mulu fled to the woods to run away from the indiscriminate killing. After days in hiding, Mulu finally came out of the caves to check on her husband and child. She went home to find out that her husband has been killed days ago, along with his fellow veterans and her disabled son had been detained.
My husband and his fellow veterans were killed in their own home. The Amhara militia men beaten my husband Tkhaloini Gabragargis along with his friends Abadi, Sagad, Chigoyana, and Barhaadi to death, after accusing them of being junta. After killing them, the militiamen forbid burial and abandoned their bodies for more than 3 days. My disabled son was also detained, without any food or water for days. We saw the mass grave of my husband and his fellow veterans after 7 days.
After the horrors they witnessed, Mulu and her son fled their hometown Tsagade. They sheltered in an IDP camp in Shira, but the suffering continued. 7 months into their stay in the IDP camp, her disabled son died due to starvation.
My son was sheltered here with me without adequate food. For 7 months, I saw my son's condition deteriorating on a daily basis due to lack of food, but I wasn't able to do anything. I had nothing to feed him. After months of suffering due to starvation, he lost the battle. He left me here alone to unite with his deceased father.
Mulu says that she's not the only victim of the man-made starvation. 4 elderly fathers who were also sheltering with them have passed away due to lack of food. She cautioned that the world needs to pressurize the Ethiopian and Eritrean government to end the year-long siege and allow aid into Tigray.
We are living here under an empty tent, suffering due to lack of food, water, medicine, and other essential items. 4 elderly fathers who used to live with us under this very tent died due to starvation. Including my son, 5 people have died due to man-made starvation from single tent. This is painful. The world needs to see us. The international community must help save our lives.
The IDP camp in Shira is one of the overcrowded IDP centers, sheltering more than 600,000 IDPs in structures formerly built for schools.
The almost year-long blockade on essential, including aid, has had a devastating impact on persons suffering with chronic illnesses who have not been able to access food or medication. Tsege Gebrehut is a diabetic living in Magala. She says the blockade on vital services has left her and many more in dire humanitarian assistance that is in very short supply. For more, Kibrom Woldurhan has the details.
Tsege Gebrehut is a resident of Kiha, a subsidy of Magala. She had a good life, having built a big house and a hotel in Kiha by an income she accumulated working abroad. But these days, she's on starvation and also unable to buy her medication as her hotel is closed due to the siege that has been imposed on Tigray for almost a year now.
I used to work in the Middle East and came back to my homeland, and I bought this house. I had a good life before the war began, but now I'm in starvation. I don't have much to eat. I'm lonely. There's no one to help me. I couldn't get a medication, and I can't help myself. I don't go outside. I stay at home most of the time.
Tsege's neighbors say that she was a hard-working woman who was providing for her and her family, but now she's in a desperate situation as her income has terminated following the conflict and also the siege on the region.
Everyone in the community knows the fact that Tigray used to have a good life. But now, like many of us, she's in a difficult situation due to the siege on Tigray. Basic necessities are not available. There isn't access to humanitarian aid. Tigray couldn't contact with her children and relatives because there isn't network access in the region. She is also economically unstable as she couldn't access to her savings following the closure of banks.
The people of Tigray are in desperate situation. I know Tsege very closely. She used to have a very good life. Currently, she's suffering from diabetes, but she couldn't get any medication. And also her life has become complicated as the siege goes on. That's all we have for now. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.